welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live music channel. My name is Chris Au, and I have with me the amazing, wonderful, brilliant-minded co-founder of Virtual Concert Halls, Anna Ospinskaya.
Chris, thank you very much, and good day to everyone who is watching today. This is a wonderful, festive holiday season, and that opening of the Beethoven's Sixth Symphony, even though not dedicated to the holidays, sounded very festive, don't you think, Chris?
Absolutely. It really invites us into a wonderful part 5 of our documentary on Beethoven's Sixth Symphony, written and narrated by Lawrence Rapchak, created by New Media Productions Worldwide and Virtual Concert Halls, produced by the architects of music. And what an amazing journey we've had so far with this Sixth Symphony. We've had a wonderful first and second movement, and I think, if I'm not giving away too much, we're going into the third movement.
Next chapter. And
Exactly.
Thank you everyone for this incredible collaboration, which is sealed by our shared passion to bring musicians and music projects from entire globe.
And now the scherzo, the third movement, described by Beethoven as lustiges Zusammen, a merry coming together of der Landleute, the country people. And the festive sounds begin very softly, as if from a distance, in unison and octave strings, lightly. And notice how Beethoven repeats this measure. We're in F major, obviously, and he uses these three notes to subtly shift into D major, which he marks dolce, gently, sweetly. It's the second half of the theme, and it's serene and ethereal, almost like the pastoral music of Rameau we've been hearing. And the music continues very delicately, tiptoeing through the fields in D major and then in C major. And finally, a crescendo, and the main theme returns, full volume in the tonic F major, all unison and octaves. It's very bracing. And that single measure that we talked about is now played 4 times, leading to a new phrase, still in octaves, which at just the right moment breaks out into gorgeous harmony. There it is, the subdominant chord. Yes, a familiar hymn-like progression, even in this lustiges, merry, lusty music. And for me, the music turns on that single subdominant chord. And I don't think I'm overreacting. That big unison tune breaking into harmony with that prominent chord, it was very important, I believe, on some level to Beethoven. And it leads to that brilliant, robust horn fanfare. Again, it's simple tonic dominant harmony. Clearly, it's related to the third measure from the opening. And darting all around the horn calls are violin and viola arpeggios launching upward. And now the scherzo's second major section, and the horn fanfare motive now becomes the accompaniment to a sprightly dance. And you remember in the scherzo of Beethoven's First Symphony, also in a quick triple time, how the melody at one point was missing the strong downbeats? Well, he does it again here in this new dance section. The accompaniment is here, and a jolly oboe solo. Four bars of a rather tricky rhythm with no downbeat, which then smooths out into a clear waltz-like rhythm, with a rustic bassoon providing the occasional bass line. The clarinet then takes over the tune in the dominant key of C major, and the dance is now in the two bassoons. Then a solo French horn takes us back into F major. And now Beethoven using the waltz-like phrase in the low strings, which then takes off and becomes very rugged, depositing us directly into the central trio section, which incidentally is in the subdominant key of B flat major. Now here is the entire opening scherzo up to the trio, and I'll call it all out as it occurs. Here's the main theme in F major. It moves to D major, very serene. It repeats in F major, and again in D major. And now we stay in D and move to C major. And now a crescendo back to F major. And the main theme in octaves, now in full harmony. And here's that subdominant chord here. And horn fanfares to close this first section. And now the horn calls become a dance. Here's the second section with the oboe theme, and the bassoon for the bass. It repeats softly. The clarinet answers. Now in C major, clarinets and bassoons. And back to F major, solo French horn. And the woodwinds begin a dialogue with the horn. Now an extension. Now the theme is in the low strings. It now takes off directly into the trio. And this very rugged dance tune is played by all the violins in unison in their low register, where they can really dig in. And it's vigorous, it's almost raucous in character, unlike the standard trios of most classical minuets or scherzos, which are usually gentle. And now back to the tonic key, F major, and the dance is now in the violas and bassoons, with a new violin obbligato. And now we have the tune in the dominant key of C major, with the cello and bass adding in, leading directly into this. And a final fading trumpet signal. Now Beethoven calls for a literal repeat of the scherzo and the trio from the beginning of the movement. And you recall how in the Fifth Symphony scherzo, Beethoven brilliantly recomposed the scherzo the second time through instead of just repeating it from the top. But here in the Sixth, the repeat is literal from the beginning. Thus we end up with a 5-part structure: scherzo, trio, and now the final return of the scherzo, which is brief, and again, it's very soft. And it shifts again into D major. But now it immediately moves back into F major. I'll play it slowly. This is really quite astounding. quite an unexpected modulation, and it happens very quickly. Listen how it works in the orchestra and at the proper tempo. And now things really kick into high gear, again in bold octaves, racing ahead for a final joyous chorale progression. And more lusty horn calls.
I don't think you could ask for a more people's trio.
Exactly.
A democratic, everyone is in there, the village square of trios and scherzos, really. It's just this idea that people coming together and I can imagine that at the premiere of this, how you must have been sitting there for ages, and yet suddenly you're not as bored anymore, and you start moving your feet a little bit, and everyone's stirring and smiling, and that's kind of my thing, and it's a really wonderful way of that Beethoven brings people in together with this kind of music.
And it's interesting how clearly people's movement is in the middle of the nature symphony, and just like in the previous movement. Clearly, there was a theme which didn't sound like a nature sound or like a bird something. It sounded more like a human voice. It was immersed and gradually integrated into all those nature sounds of birds chirping and so forth. Here, right, follow that movement. Beethoven inserts a town square or a village square in the middle of it, and with such energy, such joy and harmonious at the same time. It's again Beethoven's idea of humanity being part of nature and being in harmony with it, and, as opposed to always fighting and battling it. Becomes so vivid in this movement. And I want to also point out that Beethoven was a big fan of plagiarism, stealing tunes from popular pub
why wouldn't you? Yeah. I mean, if it makes people want to listen to more of it, and if people want to even sing along to something, I think he was all for that.
Oh, absolutely. And even when he created his own original tunes and melodies, they often resemble that pedestrian and villagers' thump of the feet of a dance or a thump of the beer mug on the table. So this movement clearly has that dancey element, of a very rugged dancey element of just let out joy. What an appropriate time to be talking about this and watching this program on this movement during the festive season of the holidays.
Well, what's really interesting is a lot of composers may use contrast in a way that is like we had light and the sunset and the nature and streams and bird calls, and they may suddenly use something like a storm incoming in or something different, but he decides to use contrast in a way that says, okay, well, we've done enough nature. Let's change the scene to a dance and a village square and a village plaza where people get along. And just like those images that we saw on screen, it's these people, they're playing games, they're buying stuff, they might be taking stuff from one another, they might be arguing, they might be boisterous. It reminds me a lot of the second movement of the Opus 110 Beethoven Sonata in A flat, where after the first movement, it's this heavenly thing that transcends, and you just feel like you're floating in the ether. The second movement is very much like him going to the tavern. It's boisterous, he's bumpy, he's digging his elbows at everybody and trying to get his beer and set this tavern, and then it transforms into something very different, which we won't talk about today. But he always uses this kind of thing as a way to, I think it demonstrates his personality just wonderfully.
And it's so attractive.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's that side of our nature where the raw energy comes in a joyful gathering together with other people.
Yeah.
And Beethoven was very, very much into that state of emotion, of just let go and celebrate kind of thing, for all the other struggles and drama which he also expressed. But when he composes a movement like this, it holds together by that one coherent mood and one coherent emotional state of the action
Yeah.
and interaction of people in a very lively and a very lifelike, very organic way, coming together in the mood of a celebration. Clearly, this movement has all the elements, and the song and the dance and all the commotion, and sounds like a big crowd.
Yeah, it does. What I love about this is that, like I said in the beginning, it feels as if he can go anywhere. Beethoven really is a composer that takes you by the hand to the most stormy, dark world of fate knocking on the door. But he's the same composer who can also take you to a village square and say, "Hey, look, this is where I live, and this is what's happening today, and we're just gonna." I liken it to sort of, yeah, people after a Sunday church service, everyone's finished being quiet, and they were out in the public, and back to being gossipy, trading, and back to doing their business and being people, which is really something remarkable to say, because there is this idea that the artist, this transcendent genius of an artist, doesn't relate with people or the common people. That they don't associate themselves, because no, I have this lofty idea of what art is, and this is where I am. But Beethoven is saying, as one of the greatest geniuses of art, says no.
I'm part of the beer party.
I want to be a part of the beer party. Exactly. Let's get a little drunk and have a fun time, and let me invite you with my music to this. And let's talk a little bit about also, if you don't mind, about how he does this, right? The way in which he uses certain techniques, the horns, the instrumentation. There's a sweetness, in terms of some key change, but then he moves on. There's also this there's a section, the progression, where he changes from, he uses very quick changes in accidentals to get from one place to another, and there's a big crescendo, and then we're back in F major again, as if nothing had happened. I love these little sections.
Yeah, exactly. And again, Beethoven being Beethoven, he takes small snippets of motive and integrates it with another small snippet of motive, and then all of those have very rich and very charged reminiscences, and they evoke memories of pictures, paintings, and experiences in a very, very strong and very quick way. For example, like what Larry mentioned is a robust horn fanfare. You hear it, you hear Larry pointing this out, and immediately, I don't know about you, Chris, I have memories of being in the situations where you hear that kind of music, and it means something. It has historic context, it has personal context, and it just becomes such a personal experience to be part of that third movement of the symphony. It almost feels like I'm in that town square.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe in in North America or certain parts of the world, this idea may have been lost or taken into a different realm. I often think a lot about how when we go to Europe, there's all these village squares, town squares, city squares. Even in the big cities, you have these squares where there's always a church, there's a bunch of shops, there's cafes, restaurants, bistros, and then you have big place where I think currently you'd have maybe street performers and all that, but back then probably some different kind of street performers too, and music. And I almost think that this kind of music should be played a little roughly. Like you might imagine, listening to this in the Berlin Philharmonic or another one of these fantastic orchestras, and it's just so polished. But in a way, like the way it evokes a village square, it almost sounds like it should be played a little roughly. There should be this little gruffness to the way the sound is, and things shouldn't be quite so polished. And I love it. I love it. And harkening back to that second movement of the Beethoven Opus 110, I remember playing the trio part, and it's definitely difficult because it's just kind of jumping all over the place. And one of his teachers once said to me, if you make a mistake, just commit to it. Like if you miss a jump or something, just commit to it. Because like, it's almost as if it's part of the music. It shouldn't even be played accurately. It's this idea that you just go for it and you just take these jumps and just get through it and then finish with that the A section again, the scherzo movement. And
that's a good point for performers' point of view. There are lots of moments in Beethoven's sonatas and concertos and whatnot, which are created with those rough edges in mind. And I would like to always play them accurately, but you're right. Striving for accuracy and polish can take away from the actual nature of that music coming from the earth. And I want to circle back to the idea how Beethoven puts man as part of the nature symphony and gives that movement the raw earthly flavor, and it almost has smells even to it. It sounds so organic, so natural, so raw in many parts. Even the harmonic changes in there, they just sound abrupt and raw, like rocks on the trail. So that really. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, and you realize that obviously if you look at sketches of Beethoven's music, that he obviously took great pains to design and craft these finished products. So any kind of roughness, these jagged edges you mentioned, they're not accidental. It's not like he had a bad day and he just
and accidentally missed the harmony.
Yeah, he's just like, whatever, like this will do, It's not that at all. It's not this whatever, like it's they won't know any different. It's okay. No, it's part of his vision that sometimes music ought to be just absolutely polished and beautiful and refined, and like that shimmering pastoral vision. These sections you just have to absolutely be perfect almost in the way you portray the music. But then there's certain pieces of music like this which allows the performer to feel like they can be a little rougher version of themselves, and yet it's still crafted in exactly how Beethoven wanted it.
Yeah, and that's the range of the emotions and the range of depiction of those emotions in Beethoven's music is just an astounding thing. And, that's probably one of the reasons why just about anyone can relate to that. And his incredible craft of, again, taking small motives and stitching them together and putting them together in the most surprising ways. I think we talked about it in one of the previous programs. If Beethoven was today's composer, his music probably would be on every one of those downloadable soundtracks, because he is such a master of sound bites.
He really is.
You can literally take 3-4 seconds of his music and loop it, and it becomes one of the most memorable earworms.
I swear that's basically what he's doing without the technology that we have of the looping. Even with the scherzo, there's like a 3-note motive that he continues to quote unquote loop throughout the orchestra. And what a way to write.
Incredible.
What a way to weave a tale. And it's very reflective of nature too, when you think about what we're made out of and what the world is made out of is very simple sort of elements. There's not so much within nature that, there is a lot of genius within it, but it's all made out of very simple. It's a lot of simplicity amongst the complex, and it's what's simple that then builds and develops and makes the complex. But at the crux of it all, I think he nails this part. And Well, yeah, what an absolute genius. I really, you become speechless after a while just talking about Beethoven because you can't use any more words. You run out of words to describe
Well,
how wonderful he is.
Lawrence Rapchak has a lot of really precise words to describe and to point out and communicate and articulate just that. How does Beethoven express his genius through really tangible means?
Thank God we have him and not me talking about it. Then we run out of all the positive words, run out of things to talk about.
Exactly.
I'm really grateful to be able to be on this journey. We're in the third movement now. I know we have other parts to go, and so I want to make sure that everyone knows there's more to come. And I'm really excited for this. And
yes, we are live on all the major platforms with the Beethoven Symphonies exploration called Magnificent 9.
Yes.
And we go section by section, sometimes movement by movement. And we're led by incredible Lawrence Rapchak and his narration, taking us by the hand through at the turns and twists of the story which Beethoven unfolds in front of us. Eyes
and it's
ears.
wonderful. Yeah, it's wonderful how he does it, and I want to give a big hand to the team and the collaborators that we have, New Media Productions worldwide. So the incredible editors at Virtual Concert Halls, as well as architects of music, and of course the brilliant voice, narration, storytelling, and everything that Larry Rapchak does is just marked with gold, and this is really wonderful that we get to share in this, you and I, Dr. Anna, as well as our audience.
I
What a
feel
gift.
very honored and blessed to be part of that journey. And we're live every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and every Sunday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So grab your mug of whatever you like.
Yeah,
and
beer
join
or hot
us.
chocolate, one of those. Yeah, something,
Either one.
depending on the movement. Yes, depending on the movement.
And with the next program, we'll be moving on to explore the fourth movement and the last movement of the Beethoven Sixth Symphony. And then after that, more symphonies coming out.
We should put in the description, like, what to drink as you're watching this, just so you're in the right mood for what's to come. Today, this episode should be a good
Should be a beer
stein
episode.
of beer. Yeah, exactly.
Dark German beer.
Exactly. Well, and also for everybody else watching, please check out our wonderful shows, Music and Musicians Daily Live Show. Anna and I, as well as our wonderful host James, we present artists, concerts, educational and music film projects. We are just interested in everybody who's in the industry and even a little outside of it who are really passionate about the arts and passionate about making an impact in the world for good, of course. And if you're interested, please contact us at virtualconcerthalls.com. You can get to see what we have in store at the soundandfestivalcompetition.com, progressivemusicians.com, and choororchestra.com, where you get opportunities to perform with orchestra, wonderful conductors, and not just in the US, but all around the world.
Well, and in the US, you get to perform with orchestras in different states, and including at the Carnegie Hall.
That's correct.
There are opportunities, if you like our vibe, to join us in many different capacities as a guest on our program, as a presented musician on various stages. So get in touch with us and bring your dreams and see if we can make them life, make them alive, make them the reality.
Make them come true. Absolutely. It's been a real pleasure. We have more parts coming up, and along with Dr. Anna, I'm really grateful for everybody for watching.
And thank you, Chris, and thank you everyone for being with us.
Yeah,
Bye
with that,
now.
we'll see you all. Bye.
No matter where you are or who you are, music connects us all. We started with a dream, but now we are paving the future. Welcome to the Sound Expressiva Global Competition. Fully virtual, yet bringing musicians closer together than ever before, now on a global scale. True live, inclusivity, diversity, connection, community, an extraordinary array of judges. Get noticed by companies all over the world. Prizes, scholarships, performance opportunities. Apply to be a part of the most exciting congregation of artists like nothing you've ever seen before. We guarantee quality and leave no musician behind. We can't wait to hear you on the virtual stage.